one moment at a time. One more moment, and we go kick their ass by how we play. Let's go.
Effort, toughness, fast. Those are non-negotiables.
Y'all just want to win. I want to dominate.
Ladies and gentlemen, college football season is right around the corner, and as proof, I offer the AP preseason poll, which has been released as of yesterday, and Georgia is number one for the second consecutive year, followed by Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. Bama in year one of the post-Saban poll is in at number 5. You see the rest of it: Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State. And so we bring in our college football team. Heather Dinich is ready to go. Sir Paul is up and ready to go. Let's play a game. The game is called Overrated, Underrated. Paul, I'll start with you. Alabama at number 5. Overrated or underrated?
They're slightly overrated. Greeny, I still think they're a playoff team, but they're on the cut line. And the fact that they're ranked number 5 may sound good to some people. This is the lowest Alabama ranking since 2009 in the preseason.
Which is right around the time Nick got there. So we'll see if they are indeed overrated. Heather, Notre Dame is at 7. Are they overrated or underrated?
They are underrated. This is a college football playoff team entering Marcus Freeman's 3rd year. They returned 9 of 11 starters from the nation's number 7 scoring defense. Look out for the Irish this year, Greeny.
Yeah, the 3rd year has been the charm, by the way, for a lot of former Notre Dame coaches. We'll see if it is for Freeman as well. Then finally, Michigan. No more Jim Harbaugh, all the rest of that. They're at number 9. Paul, overrated or underrated?
Too high. They are living off of last year, Greeny. I mean, they're a good team in Sharon Moore's first full season. I think they're around 9-3, which would not put them in the top 10 and would probably not get them into the playoffs.
Paul, Heather, do you agree?
I think Michigan is right where they're supposed to be, which is a borderline top 10 team. They have the potential to fall out, obviously, because of the schedule. But when you look at what Sharon Moore did last year, he beat Ohio State and he beat Penn State. So while there's a lot of turnover on that roster, particularly offensively, I think there's confidence at least in the coaching staff because he has proven some things already with Harbaugh on the sideline last year.
No, and this year Harbaugh will be actually there as the honorary captain for Game 1 in one of the great petty moves in the history of sports, and I, for one, love it. Now, let's continue the game. In the modern era of college football, which we'll define as the BCS CFP era, in every season but 3, there's been at least one preseason top 10 team that finished the season unranked, okay? So 23 out of the last 26 years, there's a team that started out in the top 10 that finished up outside of the top 25. Paul, which team do you think is that team this year?
I mean, I kind of struggle between Florida State and Penn State, Greeny. I'm trying to remember, where is Florida State in the rankings? Are they in the top 10?
Yes, they are.
Penn State?
They are.
Okay, well, they're both overrated. And quite frankly, Florida State lost the majority of the bulk of its defense. And quite frankly, the schedule, they have Miami and Notre Dame fairly close together on the road. And I think this is all hype. I don't think Florida State is going to be anywhere near that ranking.
So we'll see if they wind up falling out of it. As you see, Heather believes Michigan could wind up being that team as well. Heather, let's go to the other side of it then. In the playoff era, so going back to 2014, every team that wound up winning the national championship was ranked in the top 10 in this preseason poll. The lowest ranked team was LSU, coming in at number 6 in 2019. That only wound up being maybe the greatest team of all time. So let's flip that scenario. Which team outside the top 6 do you believe has the best chance, Heather, of winning the national championship?
I'm going back to the Irish, Greeny, and Hembo gave me this sneaky stat, like he always does. 11 projected 2025 NFL draft picks. That's the only teams that have more are Ohio State and Georgia. This team is loaded. And I'm going to point out one other thing in the 12-team college football playoff. Notre Dame does not have a conference title game, so it can't get a first-round bye. It has to win 4 straight games to win the national title. But it also doesn't risk losing in a conference championship game either. So there is that pro side to the Irish independence. So in addition to the talent, quarterback Riley Leonard, the defense, the coaching staff, these guys have the pieces in place for a really special season.
Because he is a Florida Gator alum. And Jeff, I don't know if you've seen Florida's schedule in the month of the month of November. Cindy, can we put it up there? This is their schedule in the month of November. They play number 1, number 4, number 13, number 6, and number 10 in consecutive weeks. When you compare the experience of this to the experience of having an iguana in your toilet, Jeff, which one causes you more fear?
The iguana can go away very quickly. This will not. This will be painful for a long time. They can literally finish as a 6-win team and maybe be in the top 20 in the country with this type of strength of schedule. This is impossible. But then again, look, Alabama back in 2016 had to play a bunch of really good teams and won the national title. So no excuses. The Gators got to be better.
Paul, it is interesting. Paul, you got a funny look on your face. Go ahead.
Jeff, Alabama had Nick Saban. You have Billy Napier, okay?
That's what I'm saying. I agree. I agree. We need to be better. We need to be better across the board. The whole thing.
Yeah,
well, I'll stay in my lane right now. I'm going to stick to the NFL. Greeny, I just miss relevancy.
Greeny, I want to give Jeff some confidence. I cannot. Florida fans are talking about, hey, if we can win 6 or 7 games, let's keep the coach. This is the same program that won 2 under Urban Meyer. And Tim Tebow once told me he looked up at the stadium and said, "How come we didn't win 3? We should have." And they barely lost to Alabama. That's how far this once great program has fallen.
Get us fixed. Darlington. Get it fixed. Please just get us fixed. I just want relevancy. I just want a little taste of relevancy.
Let me let Heather finish it up, because it is an interesting example of how in this new era of college football, particularly where we have these 2 super conferences, whatever you want to call them, like every year someone's going to have that, right? It happens to be Florida this year, but every single year someone is going to have a stretch of maybe not quite this bad. They're playing 5 consecutive games against teams that in the preseason are ranked in the top 13. Heather.
Well, and against quarterbacks that are going to be playing in the NFL next year, like Carson Beck, multiple quarterbacks like that. Look, this is the most difficult schedule in the country according to ESPN analytics. The close, November, is the most difficult in the country. Billy Napier said this spring that this is his best team. It's going to have to be, because otherwise they're not going to survive this.
Give me something. Got a cigarette just so I can breathe.